This video is presented to you by www.testprepadda.com. Dear students, you must be aware of this point that many physical quantities are obtained by multiplying other physical quantities like momentum. Momentum is obtained by multiplying mass with velocity. Similarly, force is obtained by multiplying mass with acceleration. Similarly, work is found by multiplying force with the displacement. So, different physical quantities are obtained by multiplying the other physical quantities. In this session, I will talk about the multiplication of different vectors, different ways to multiply vectors. But first of all, I will talk about the multiplication of a vector by a number. For example, a line of support, a vector is given here, vector A. If I multiply a number, let us say 2, with this vector, so I will get a new vector whose magnitude is double of the previous vector, but its direction is same as the previous vector. So the real number that is multiplied with the vector will change the magnitude. For example, if I multiply, let us say -2, if I multiply the -2 number with the vector A, then I will get another vector A dash, but this time the magnitude is doubled. You will not say that magnitude is -2 times the previous one. The direction is changed. The direction is changed. In the previous case, it was 2 times the vector A. This time the direction will also change because it is -2A. So this is the multiplication of a vector by a number. Now I will talk about dot product or scalar product of two vectors. First of all, how do we write dot product? Consider two vectors P and Q. Vector P, vector Q. The dot product of these two vectors will be written as, the dot product will be written as vector P dot vector Q. A dot is there in between two vectors, and it is defined as magnitude of vector P into magnitude of vector Q into cos theta. What is theta? Theta is the angle between two vectors. As I told you earlier, it is the angle between the tails of the two vectors, vector P, vector Q. Since it is a scalar quantity, we are getting a scalar. So dot product is also called as scalar product. Scalar product. Now, geometrically, we will try to understand the dot product of two vectors. Geometrically. So if I take this vector P at an angle theta, the vector Q, now if I drop a perpendicular from P on the line of support of vector Q, it will be like this, and this will be how much? This will be P cos theta. P cos theta. This is actually component. This is actually component of vector P along vector Q, and that is how much? P cos theta. Similarly, if I drop a perpendicular from Q on the line of support of vector P, this will be how much? Q cos theta. So what is this? This is component of vector Q along the vector P, and that is how much? Q cos theta. So dot product of two vectors. From this we can say dot product of two vectors is actually product of two quantities. Product of two quantities. Number one, magnitude of one vector, one of the vectors you can say, and scalar component of the second vector along the direction of first vector. That is what? Component magnitude wise, component of other vector, where along the direction of first vector, along the direction of first vector, right? Because vector p dot vector q was p into q cos theta. So if I take it as q cos theta, it is the component of vector q along vector p into magnitude of vector p. Or I can take magnitude of vector q and p cos theta as the component of q along component of p along the q, right? So if you are asked to find component of p along q, component of p along q, actually it is p cos theta, right? It is p cos theta, but it can be found with the help of dot product, which you can say p dot q upon magnitude of vector q. Similarly, we can find component of q along p, that will be p dot q upon magnitude of vector p, right? I hope you have understood these things. Now I will discuss few important points about dot product. Important points about dot products. Important points about dot products. First point, if I take two vectors which are parallel vectors. If I take parallel vectors, then what will be the angle? The angle will be 0 degree. And if the angle is 0 degree, cos 0 will be how much? 1. That is the maximum value of cos theta. If it is maximum value, then P dot Q will be modulus of vector P into modulus of vector Q, which I can write as P into Q. Cos 0 is 1. So this is actually the maximum value of dot product. Maximum value of dot product. Now, point number 2. If I take angle 90 degree, if theta is 90 degree, what will be the value of cos theta? Cos 90, it is 0. So, if vectors are perpendicular, then what will be the dot product? It will be 0. We can conclude from here. Now point number 3. If I take anti-parallel vectors, anti-parallel means theta is 180. Theta 180. Theta 180 means cos 180 degrees how much? minus 1. So, if you take P dot Q, it will be what? P into Q into minus 1, and that is minus P into Q. So, what is the conclusion? It is the minimum value because minus 1 is the minimum value of cos theta. Now, point number 4. If I write this P dot Q as modulus of P, modulus of Q, cos theta. Theta is what? Angle from P to Q. This theta is the angle from vector P to vector Q. Now if I take angle from Q to P, if I take angle from Q to P, it becomes minus theta. It becomes minus theta. In that case, I will say Q dot P. Vector Q dot vector P. Obviously, if you take Q vector as the first vector, you have to write a vector Q dot vector P. And in that case, you have to take angle from Q to P. So it becomes modulus of P, modulus of Q, cos minus theta. And cos minus theta is nothing but cos theta. So it will be vector P modulus, vector Q modulus. And that is why we say P dot Q is equal to Q dot P. This is called commutative law. So dot products, actually this is similar to products of scalar quantities. We write 5 into 7 or we write 7 into 5. Both way we will get same answer, right? Okay. Now we will move to point number 5. If vectors are in unit vector notation, if vectors are given in unit vector notations means I cap, j cap, k cap. For example, if vector p is given as px I cap plus py j cap plus pz k cap, and vector q is given as qx I cap plus qy j cap plus qz k cap, then what will be p dot q? I will write this as px I cap plus py j cap plus pz k cap and qx I cap plus qy j cap plus qz k cap. Now I'll multiply this p x will I cap will be multiplied with all three of the second. Similarly, py j cap will be multiplied with all three, and pz k cap will be multiplied with all three. In this multiplication, if you see, we are going to multiply unit vectors, and I cap, j cap, k cap, they are mutually perpendicular unit vectors. So if I say this I, J, K, if I multiply I with J, I cap dot J cap, since the angle is 90 degree, cos 90 will become 0. So I cap dot J cap, whenever we get this, it will be 0. Not only this, J cap dot K cap will also be 0. K cap dot I cap will also be 0. So whenever the mutually perpendicular vectors are multiplied, the dot product comes as 0. But when I cap will be multiplied with I cap, when I cap multiplied with I cap, dot product, cos 0, because parallel vectors, cos 0 is 1. So I cap dot I cap will be 1. J cap dot J cap will be 1. K cap dot K cap will be 1. And we will use this to get the answer. For example, here, when Px I cap multiplied with Qx I cap, we will get Px Qx. But when Px I cap multiplied with Qy J cap or Qz K cap, it will be I dot J, and that is what? 0. Right? Similarly, I cap dot K cap will be how much? 0. Same, when we multiply the second term with all three, I will get only Py Qy. Why? Because J cap, when multiplied with J cap, then and only then I am getting some answer, 1. Otherwise, it will become 0. Similarly, the third, Pz Qz. So, this is the dot product. Now, if you are asked to find angle between P and Q, the two vectors which are given, Px I cap, Py j cap plus Pz k cap and Qs, Qx I cap, Qy j cap, Qz k cap. If you are asked to find angle between them, then what will you do? We know P dot Q is equal to modulus of P modulus of Q cos theta. So what will you do to find angle? Cos theta will become P dot Q upon modulus of P modulus of Q. Substitute values. Values will be what? Px Qx, Py Qy, Pz Qz upon what will be modulus P? It will be Px square plus Py square plus Pz square. What will be modulus Q? It will be Qx square, Qy square, Qz square. This way we get the angle between the two vectors, given vectors. Now, if a question is given as, I'll write the question. If the question is given as, what is the angle? What is the angle theta between A vector, that is 3i cap minus 4j cap, and vector B, that is minus 2i cap plus 3k cap. We have to find the angle theta between these two vectors. So what will you do? Just we found the answer cos theta in terms of vectors. So here first find magnitude of A. That will be what? Root 3 square, that is 9, plus minus 4 square, and that is 16. It will come how much? 5. And what will be modulus of vector B? It will be minus 2 square means 4, plus 3 square means 9. So it will be root 13. If you solve, it comes approximately 3.6. Now, what is vector A dot vector B? It will be uh, 3 into minus 2, that is minus 6. And when I cap multiplied with k cap, it will be 0. When j multiplied by with I cap, it will be 0. When j cap is multiplied with k cap, it will be 0. So A dot B comes minus 6. Now, we know cos theta can be written as A dot B upon magnitude of A and magnitude of vector B. So it will be minus 6 upon 5 into 3.6. That comes approximately minus 1 by 3. 1 by 3. And if you take the inverse, the angle comes approximately 110 degree. Now, another point. Let me tell you that dot product also follows distributive law. Another point, we have discussed how many points? 5 points we have already discussed. Now the sixth point. Dot product also follows distributive law. What is this? If I write vector A dot B plus C, it can be written as A dot B plus A dot C. And this can be proved by taking any three vectors. Now, one very special point about dot products is that dot product is used to find work done by a force, during the displacement of a body. Now, what is the definition? Definition of work is force multiplied by displacement in the direction of the force. Displacement in the direction of the force. So, if I consider a body and a force is applied in this direction, let this angle as theta, and the displacement takes place, the body comes here, let this as D. So what will you do? Extend this line of support, take a perpendicular, This way, what will you get? You will get displacement of the body in the direction of the force, and that is how much? D cos theta. So what will be work done by this force? It will be force into d cos theta. Now recall the dot product definition. It is, since here f into d cos theta, I can write this as f dot d, where this is force vector, this is displacement vector, right? So if I give you a question, which says, suppose a force of 10 Newton, suppose a force of 10 Newton acts on a body in vertically upward direction, and the body is displaced to 2 meter in vertically downward direction. Find the work done. The force is in the upward direction and the displacement is in the downward direction. So what will be force vector? It will be, if I say 10 k cap, then the displacement vector will be how much? Minus 2 k cap, because in the question I said body is displaced through 2 meter in vertically downward direction. So now I know force vector, I know displacement vector. So what will we work? Work will be force in for F dot D, and F dot D is how much? 10 k cap into minus 2 k cap. K cap dot k cap will be 1 because 0 degree is the angle, parallel vectors, and the answer will be 20 Newton meter. So dot product is helpful in getting the work done by the force during the displacement of the body. Now this was all about dot product. We discussed the important points about the dot products. In the next video of vectors, we will talk about cross products or vector products of two vectors. This video is presented to you by www.testprepadda.com. TestPrepAdda.com provides free audio-visual lectures of different subjects by expert faculties, free online tests prepared by expert faculties to students who are preparing for engineering or medical entrance exams or planning to take exams like KVPY, Olympiad, etc. It provides a platform where students can interact with mentors to improve their performance in the exams. The mission of this online medium is to help students to achieve their goals. Log on to www.testprepadda.com to watch free video lectures on different topics, to download free revision notes, to take free chapter-wise online tests, progressive test, and mock test, to discuss doubts with mentors. Thank you for watching the video. To stay up to date with the latest videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on our Facebook page, Test Prep Adda. All the best.